Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, Tanya Tyler, and I'm excited because we're going to talk to Miss Kristy Crippen about empowerment. And you know, many of us women, we take care of so many other people but ourselves. And I invited Kristy on because she had a great story. So before I dive more into it, let's welcome Kristy to the show. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. I'm so happy to be here with you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We connected because we had another mutual friend who was on the podcast.
Yes.
And you shared your story about empowerment. And so I was intrigued. And of course, anytime I hear an intriguing story that I think might help somebody else, you know, I got to have her on. So again, thank you for accepting my invitation. But before we really dive into that conversation, I want to turn it over to you. Welcome you to the show. And then please tell the audience a little bit about who you are, what you do, and maybe what lessons have you learned since the reopening of the pandemic?
So many lessons, right? So I'm Kristy Crippen. I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and I own a company called Collaborative Partners Administrative Services. And for me, I took all of my years of administrative experience and created a company for myself. I saw a real need in the market for entrepreneurs and small business owners who need help. They don't necessarily have to have someone full-time, nor do they have the financial bandwidth for someone full-time. So they bring someone like me on to help them with all of the brainstorming and the collaborative side and the peeling the layers back, but then also with the admin tasks. And, you know, whether it's scheduling, organizing, like I said, brainstorming, it could be productivity, habits, accountability. I wake up every day so excited to get to do what I do. And my clients are rock stars, and I feel so fortunate to be an entrepreneur and to do what I do.
Right.
Since the pandemic, what I just keep seeing is just, we need to just, I think, slow life down as much as we can. You know, life, as we know, is so unpredictable. And I think it's about having our lives be as joyful as they can be. And I recognize that there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot of turmoil. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to usher the joy in wherever we can, and to pause and to think and to just be, and to really take life by the horns, you know, live life on our terms as much as we can.
Right. And I love you're also right, because like I said, when I hear a lot of people took that opportunity to pause and figure out, you know, is this the kind of path that I want to continue on, and do I like the lifestyle that I have? And sort of that segues a little bit into you sharing your story, because you were talking about how you were talking about the word empowerment and what does that mean to you. So can you explain a little bit more about your journey as to how this came about for you?
Sure. For me, empowerment is one of my favorite words. And I think it's a word that can mean a lot of different things to different people. And this morning, as I was thinking about our time together, I was thinking about, what does the word empowerment mean? And, you know, yes, we can look at it as our internal strength and our internal fortitude, but it's about, how do we draw upon that? And when we're feeling fear, how do we tap into the empowerment? Because the fear can easily overtake it. So then, you know, and you have something that you need to get done, or you have something that you're pursuing, and man, it feels like the fear is driving the bus. So how do we say, nope, get off the bus, you know, or sit in the back seat? And no, you're not allowed to play with the radio. So for me, empowerment it's what do we learn from others when they're standing in those moments of fear, and they continue on in a place of bravery. I think it's yes, it's personal development books, professional development books, podcasts, videos. It's all the things that inspire us. It's listening to other people's stories and learning from their experiences. And it's also going internally and evaluating, okay, here's where I was then. Here's where I am now. Look at all that I've accomplished.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about that because I have a group that I work with on Meetup, and a lot of the ladies that come on, we do a women's empowerment group. A lot of them don't celebrate those small wins.
Oh, they're so important.
I mean, like I said, you're sharing your story about, your empowerment journey. So, what was that like for you when you started? How did you say that this was the time for you?
Well, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease back in 2005. It had been in my system for a year. And that began a very long journey of recovering from that. And then no sooner had I started to feel like a human being again. And then I started noticing some things going on with my mother cognitively. I had lost my grandmother in March of 2006 to dementia. And I started seeing the same signs with my mother. And as the years progressed, things became more tenuous with her health, and my father stoically took care of her. 2015 was a rough year. There were 5 hospitalizations between my parents. Literally, one would be in the hospital, get out, the other one would go in. And that began a period of a lot of years of high stress. And we're all the time, we're faced with situations that are in our control, but then we're also faced with things that are outside of our control. And that was very much a situation that it was very mixed, because what was outside of my control is the fact that they were both declining. But what was in my control was, what decisions do I need to make for them that is in their best interest and will be supportive of them and provide them with the care they need? What questions do I need to ask of doctors and nurses and all of the people who are in that world? And I'll tell you, over those years, I got a lot of empowerment, because what's that old adage, Tanya? You don't know how strong you really are until that's the only, doggone it, until that's the only option you have, something along those lines. And it's like all of a sudden, like you're just standing there going, okay, here we go. And you might be in that same space 10 times in a day. And so it's about, what do you need to do to fortify your soul to get you through that? That's another part of it, of the empowerment. And my parents ended up, they both passed in 2020. My father passed in the early morning hours of July 4th, and my mother passed in the early morning hours of Veterans Day. So it was some 4 months and 1 week, almost to the hour apart. And so then that was a time of, as you can imagine, there was just a lot of just heartbreak and just grief. And you feel like you are in this sea of, you look around and you know your surroundings, but yet it feels like nothing makes sense. And so you tap into the love of family and friends and the things that nurture your soul and sustain you. And then all of a sudden things start to feel, I don't want to say normal, but it's almost like a new normal, if you will. And I've been working with the most incredible business consultant since July of 2012. Her name is Donna Spina. And I am not the same woman I was back then because of her. And she empowers me. And all the ways in which she's helped me to build my business have empowered me. And while I was taking care of my parents, I was taking care of my clients, but I wasn't taking care of myself in the best way that I could. And And there were things in my business that I just didn't have the energetic bandwidth to take care of. It was about, let me take care of my clients. But then, oh, I need a website. Oh, I don't have energy to create a website. So in early 2021, she said to me, you spent all that time taking care of your parents, and now it's time for you to take care of yourself. And it's time for you to take care of your business. And I knew she was right. But yet I was also terrified. It's so easy for me to take care of my clients and put them out center stage. It's like, there with the lit roller and, and, and oh, go. And then they go out, and then I'm there just right off the stage, right where the light hits the stage. And then there's the darkness, and I'm just there in the darkness, watching them going, look at them shine, look at them sharing their brilliance with the world. And that's where I'm happiest. But so many key people in my life, Donna included, said to me, in order for you to find those amazing clients, you have to put yourself in the spotlight.
That's a good one.
I went, they're not wrong, but okay. And so that's that process of continuing to show up and to be visible has been terrifying, but yet also empowering.
Right.
And so every day I show up on social media and I just offer a little something. And I've seen how I've grown and changed as a result. And I follow the lead of all of these amazing people in my life, and I watch what they're doing, and I learn from them, and I feel empowered by them.
Right.
And so it's amazing how it all comes full circle all the time.
Right. Right. Yeah. I've already been taking some nuggets, and this is the part where I want to remind everybody, if you've been picking up the nuggets that Kristy's been dropping, please give us a thumbs up, maybe hit us down with a comment below, because I like how she said, you have to put yourself in the spotlight. And we're going to talk about that. Like, your story is amazing of how far you've come. I can,
Thank you.
I can understand from the family aspect. So I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank
but
you.
At the same time, I would love to learn, like, what did you do to help put yourself in that spotlight? For somebody else who might come across this video, who's maybe struggling and trying to figure out, or trying to hide in the dark space, like you said. How do you? What would your advice be to somebody to help them get them out there into the spotlight? What would you say to them?
I would say that the fear you're feeling is perfectly normal, and it's okay, and it's not right or wrong. It just is. And I would say, look to the people in your life who inspire you and say, hey, I see you putting yourself out there all the time. I so admire what you're doing, but that's not the most comfortable thing for me to put myself out there. So I would love to learn from you. What is it that you're tapping into? And have the conversation, because you know what? That other person, they just might be showing up doing their thing every day, not realizing the impact they're having on all of the people who are watching. So that's going to make that person feel good. So I think learn from others. And I think there's that old adage, like, shimmy out on the skinny part of the branch. Just, even if it's just one little, and the branch is not going to break. That branch has got you. And so it's just do one brave thing in the moment. Just do it. Then you go, okay, I did it. And then maybe, I don't know, an hour later, do another brave thing. And then you go, okay, I did it. Okay. I didn't combust. I didn't melt. Okay, this is good. A website, have a website or landing page. Be active on social media. Or, like, have a blog or have a newsletter. Put yourself out there in some way that makes sense for you and for your business. Like, you'll never see me on TikTok, but you will see me on LinkedIn. I've got an Instagram page. I've got a Facebook group. So it has to make sense for you. It's where your people are hanging out. And it's about showing up and offering value. Because that is something that's really helped me. It's how do I show up in a very heart-centered way and give back? Because when we operate, I firmly believe when we operate from a place of giving back, the fear just naturally diminishes. You know,
Right. Right.
it's just about, okay, let me put this post out there and it's this tip. And then when people react to it and they go, hey, I never thought of that, or hey, thank you, that helped me with XYZ. And
Right.
then use that as fuel to inspire you to do something else. And the more you do it, the more it becomes habit and the more it becomes ingrained within you.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. I love your tips because, like you said, it's encourage. What I'm hearing is encouragement goes a little way. Don't
Mhm.
be afraid to speak up when you see somebody maybe who's doing something that inspires you. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you never know what that person's going through too. They might be thinking, man, I keep showing up and it feels like it's crooked sometimes. And that's the thing. We're always going to have way more impressions than we are reactions. It's just normal. But yet it doesn't mean that what we're doing doesn't have an impact.
Right. That's
Yeah.
very valuable gems there, Miss Kristy.
Oh, thank
Thank you.
you.
It's a wealth of knowledge. And so my next question is, what's the one thing you want people to take away from your interview today?
Mm. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. I know that there are times when that feels like the furthest possible kernel of truth. Um, when you need help, ask for it. If I had a dime for every time I had to lay myself bare over that journey where I was helping to care for my parents and say to somebody, I've never been in this situation before. I'm completely overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing. Can we just take it down to brass tacks? There's no shame in that, because other people, it's like sometimes when I would interface with the medical staff, and they're used to that lingo and they're used to, oh, it's, this and this. But for us as lay people, we're not used to that. And then we've got all of that emotion in there too. So we're hearing the words, but yet it's not landing, it's not registering. So there were times, so many times when I would say, I hear what you're saying, and it's me, and I'm sorry. And then they, oh, you know what? No, I forget. We talk amongst each other all day long, and sometimes we forget when we talk with family members. And so then
Mhm.
they take a different approach. So I say ask for help, because the more that we feel isolated and we feel trapped by the fear and we feel held back by that, the it, it, we're less, I feel like we're less willing to take that step forward. But if we, knowledge is power. If we get the answers to our questions and we go, oh, you know what? It's really not as difficult as I thought. I can do that. And then you
Right.
feel empowered. And now you're sitting up tall and you're going, I can do that. Yes.
Right. Right. You're right. I love it because, like you said, it's like feeling the fear, but still being willing to take that step and ask for help along the way.
Yes.
And
Yes.
which sort of segues into what you do, because you help people as you with their business and stuff like that. So with I know with the amount of time that we have, I know it was an impromptu question, but how do you help those who need your service to let go?
Mm. Mm-hmm. Because we start our businesses and we're cobbling stuff together, and we're duct taping things, and we've got pulleys and the whole thing, and then we get into a rhythm and we start building our businesses, and sometimes we don't always update our systems, and so we're doing things and we go, oh, maybe I don't need to be doing that, but yet we're so used to doing it. And so it can be hard to turn the reins over to somebody else. I get it. And so I think that when you bring somebody on, it's about properly vetting them. It's about getting, testimonials. It's about talking to other people who have used this person's services. But it's also about placing your faith in somebody that they're going to, do the job. And it's about saying, here's what I need. And for me, if somebody says, here's what I need, and it's not a service I offer, I'm always very transparent about that. But I just meet them where they're at. Some people are like, chips are all in, here you go, take it off my shoulders. Other people are like, okay. And they're a little hesitant, and that's okay. So we baby step it. It's all good. And then we get that down pat, and they go, that's saving me like half an hour a week. If I give her this, that could save me 90 minutes a week. I like that. So that's how I get my clients to think. It's about them living in their zone of genius. What are the things that only they can do? Everything else, it's like, can it be outsourced? Can it be streamlined? Can it be automated? Do they even need to still do it? Maybe they can stop doing it. So I think I just love them where they're at. I just encourage them and just say, hey, what would it be like if we did this? It's about them feeling empowered.
I love it. And I'm thinking about how you said when you talk to I think everything that we do, and even in our personal life versus our business life, sort of correlates together. So when you were sharing about we get so caught up in our habits, just like you were talking about the nurses between each other, and they forget that they're talking to maybe their family member. It's the same thing. We get so caught up in our business models that when we go to hand it off to somebody else, and you're like, oh, the VA didn't do it right. Well, you didn't communicate to her because you didn't know what you wanted to say. You were talking to the family member. You were so busy talking to the other entrepreneurs that you forgot that I have to explain over here to a family member how we work it. So it's like sort of like seeing how it all sort of transitions together from where your journey from your family also works into your business, where you have that more of a gentle feel with your clients, because now you had to, deal with the medical staff. It's like communication's communication either way, but you learn one skill over one area, you can apply it to the other area.
You're absolutely right. And I'm always fascinated by that, about how you have something in one area of your life, and then that can spread into other areas of your life. Like I remember years ago, it was a Saturday night. I think it was, I don't know, maybe like 10 o'clock. And I don't know if she still has this show on. Susie Orman, she had a show on, and she opened up the show to questions from the audience. And so this gentleman got up and he was talking about how he had been following her plan, and he and his wife had been paying their debt off. And she's got such a gorgeous smile. She just radiates. And I thought she was going to levitate off the stage. And he said, but here's the really cool thing. He said, my wife and I, we started exercising together. And I've lost 40 pounds. My wife has lost 27. We started cleaning out our closets. We started, eating healthier. And so it was this big, beautiful chain reaction. And she said, that's what happens. She said, I see it all the time. People come to me with all of these challenges in their financial worlds. And so we start getting all of that in place. And then it's like this aerial view. They look at everything else in their life and go, oh, you know what? Let's start looking at all this other stuff. How do we improve upon that? And you're so right. And that's why I just encourage people, just take one thing at a time, because there's so many, as you know, as a business owner, there's so many hats that we wear. And, if you're used to working for somebody else, and maybe you transition and you become your own boss, it's very exciting, but it's also scary and it's overwhelming. And so all of these things that your company would have done, now you have to do. And so it's, how do you balance all of that? And it's about giving yourself grace, because there are some days when you're up here with certain things and you go, oh, this is down here. I don't like that. I need to raise that up. So it's about giving yourself grace and saying, you know what? I'm killing it over here. Let's just dial this up.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So again, thank you so much for sharing your insight and wisdom. So my last question is, where can people find more information about you, your services, and what you do?
Oh, thank you. They can go to my website, which is collaborativepartnersadmin.com. And that talks about the people I serve. It talks about the services I offer. And if they like, they want to find out more, there's a contact form at the very bottom of my website. And I would love to have a conversation with them.
I love it. Again, thank you so very much. And Miss Kristy, and all my audience knows, my unofficial question is, would you love to come back? We'd love to have you come back and maybe do a deeper dive in some more subjects, if you'd be willing.
I would be more than willing. This was a blast. I think you're terrific. I've had the best time. I've never been on a podcast before, and you have made it so doggone easy. I wish I could talk to you every single day. I'm like, you're just so amazing. I love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's because of the great guests like you have very interesting stories, and I love how you share it and encourage other people to maybe get unstuck wherever they at.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
I will leave you with this. One of the things that causes me heartache is when I see people diminish themselves, that I'm not good enough, or I'm not blank enough, or they tamp down their brilliance. They dull their brilliance. We were all put on this earth to do something amazing, to do many amazing things. And don't be afraid to put your bat signal up in the clouds, because the people, they need you. They need what you're offering. What you're offering has value and it has meaning. And when you have the courage to say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what you can expect from working with me, these are the pain points I solve, it's a win-win for everybody. So I think that's kind of what I would leave you with the empowerment is, it's how do I show up and serve other people? Because then I feel like that is an antidote to the fear.
That's a good point. Good point. Thank you so very much,
you.
Ms. Kristy. And I want to thank you for your insight and your wisdom. And I also want to thank everybody who tuned in. And remember that feedback is always welcome. Remember that the links that Kristy mentioned will be posted down in the description box below. So please make sure you check out them juicy gems down there. And if you've enjoyed today's show, please give us a like, hit that like button over there and let us know. Maybe leave a comment down below. Again, if you've enjoyed the insight that Kristy has shared and you want to catch more of the insight, please hit that subscribe button over there. And remember, take things in stride, go with the flow, and create your own path. And we will see you back here on another episode of Coffee with D. All right. Bye-bye.